She met him on a random evening right when she'd almost given up on dating. From the very first message, it felt like a miracle. This was the connection she'd always dreamed about but never truly believed could be real. And that is exactly how love bombing begins in the dark psychology of toxic relationships. At first, it looks like pure romance. Good morning text before she even wakes up. Long voice notes telling her she's different from everyone else. Surprise gifts show up at her door, and there are late-night calls where he listens to every secret she's never told anyone. But behind this flood of attention is a calculated plan to control her mind. Whenever she doubts herself, he's there with the perfect words, telling her she's the only person who understands him, that he's never felt this way before, and that destiny brought them together. Slowly, the constant flattery and affection start to feel like oxygen she cannot live without. Friends tell her it's moving too fast, that no one falls this hard, this quickly, without a reason. But she defends him because that's what love bombing does. It replaces your critical thinking with a fantasy. He wants to move in together after just a few weeks. He wants to plan a future, talks about marriage, kids, even shared bank accounts. He calls her his soulmate every single day until she feels guilty for ever having doubts. This is the idealization phase of the narcissistic love bombing cycle. The victim is placed on a pedestal and made to feel like the most special person in the world, not because the manipulator truly loves them, but because they want to secure control over their emotions, their time, and eventually their entire identity. The red flags are there from the start. He needs constant reassurance. He gets upset when she spends time with her friends. He calls her multiple times if she doesn't answer right away and gets strangely angry if she takes too long to text back. But she keeps telling herself that this is just passionate love. Then he starts to use the information she shared in vulnerable moments as weapons in small arguments. He'll joke about her insecurities or mention her childhood trauma when she does something he doesn't like. Slowly, the sweet, perfect messages are mixed with subtle criticisms and cruel comments disguised as honesty. This is the point where love bombing begins to turn into devaluation. The good morning texts become less frequent. The long calls turn into short, distracted conversations. The man who once told her she was beautiful every day now picks on her appearance, her weight, or her clothes, all in the name of wanting the best for her. When she tries to talk about how the relationship feels different, he flips the script and uses gaslighting, one of the most powerful tools in dark psychology. He says things like, "You're overreacting," "You're too sensitive," "That never happened," or "You always twist my words," until she starts questioning her own memory and feelings. The same person who flooded her with attention is now the one making her feel like she is difficult to love. And because her brain is addicted to that early stage of intense affection, she convinces herself that if she just tries harder, the old him will come back. This is how a trauma bond forms. Her mind links the rare moments of affection with the periods of pain, creating a cycle where every small crumb of kindness feels like proof that the relationship is worth saving. He disappears for a day after a fight, leaves her messages on seen, and she feels physical anxiety shaking, unable to eat, checking her phone every few minutes. Then he suddenly comes back with a long apology, sends flowers, promises to change, and says he's just scared of losing her. This is hoovering, where the narcissistic partner pulls her back into the cycle with a fresh wave of love bombing. Each time this happens, her boundaries get weaker, her standards get lower, and she becomes easier to control. He isolates her from friends and family with subtle lines like, "They never liked us together," or "They're jealous because we're so close." Eventually, she finds herself alone with only his version of reality to hold on to. This is exactly where dark psychology thrives, in isolation, confusion, and emotional dependence. Slowly, her world shrinks to his moods, his messages, his approval. She starts to feel like she's walking on eggshells, terrified of saying the wrong thing and triggering another cold, silent punishment. She stops dressing the way she likes because he jokes that she looks like she's trying too hard for attention. She stops talking to male friends because he calls them threats. She even stops sharing her achievements because he belittles them or takes credit for her progress. Inside, she feels smaller and smaller and yet more desperate to keep him, because he has convinced her that no one else will ever love her as much as he does, even while he is the one tearing her apart. This is the hidden truth of many toxic relationships in the modern world. The person who makes you feel most special at the beginning might be the one who slowly destroys your sense of self. The final stage of this dark cycle comes when he decides she is no longer useful or fun to control. He starts flirting with others online, keeps his phone face down, stays busy for long periods. And if she asks questions, he calls her crazy or needy. Then one day, he simply stops responding. He blocks her or replaces her with someone new almost immediately, leaving her shattered, confused, and blaming herself. She's left wondering what she did wrong when in reality she never had a chance, because love bombing and narcissistic manipulation were at play from the very start. This discard phase is brutal, but it is also where awareness can begin. If you have ever felt trapped in a relationship that began like a perfect movie and slowly turned into a psychological nightmare, understand that what you experienced was not genuine love. It was dark psychology, emotional abuse, and manipulation designed to control you. The red flags were not your imagination. Your feelings were not too much, and your need for clarity does not make you weak. It makes you human. The most powerful step you can take is to learn how these tactics work. Set boundaries, rebuild your self-worth, and refuse to accept love that feels like constant anxiety and self-doubt. You deserve a connection that does not require you to abandon yourself. If this story opened your eyes to how love bombing, gaslighting, and trauma bonding operate inside toxic relationships, and you want more deep cinematic stories that decode dark psychology and human behavior, make sure you subscribe to Dark Mind Mastery Psychology. This channel brings you powerful dark psychology stories, true-to-life toxic relationship breakdowns, and human behavior insights designed for a USA audience. So you can recognize manipulation, protect your mind, and never again mistake a calculated strategy for real love, because your mind, your heart, and your future are worth mastering.